Hey everybody, welcome in to Tomb of Terrors. I'm your host, Old Man Brad. Whether you are new to the show or returning for another episode, thank you so much for giving me a listen. If you love the show, drop me a review over in your favorite podcast app. Or you can become a patron, patreon.com/oldmanbrad. And make sure you follow me on Letterboxd if you're on Letterboxd. Just look for Old Man Brad and you can see a lot of my watches. I watch a lot. Not always good movies. Some are questionable, but follow me over there. This episode, I have another interview for a new film coming out. I'll be talking about the new film, The Jester 2, and I have an interview with the writer-director of the movie, Colin Krawchuk. I was excited to get a chance to finally talk to him. We tried to connect when the first Jester movie came out, but were unable to, but we managed this time, got to talk to him. I can't wait for you to hear our discussion. Before we dive into it, The Jester 2 is playing in theaters for just 2 nights only, September 15th and 16th. I have a link for showtimes in my show notes below if you want to go check it out in theaters. Also happening next week, if you're in the Cincinnati area, come out to Frightful Fridays. I'm so thankful to be partnered with the Esquire Theater to host a horror screening once a month, third Friday of every month. Our screening for September, next Friday, September 19th, is The Evil Dead from 1981. This is a 4K restoration that we'll be screening. Excited to see this on the big screen. I've never ever seen this movie on the big screen before. So it's going to be fun. Come out September 19th, 10 p.m., and let's watch a movie together. All right, let's dive into The Jester 2.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and ghouls, I'm your host, DJ Jack, and I'll be your guide through the spine-tingling lineup for you tonight.
Why do you look like that?
We're going trick-or-treating.
Don't you think you're getting a little bit old?
Look,
Why don't you just watch some scary movies or something, okay?
You're the quiet girl who always sat by herself.
Max.
Max,
Oh, I know this.
don't you see? You tricked me.
When teen magician Max crosses paths with the sinister Jester on Halloween night, she must outsmart a supernatural killer whose magic is all too real and whose tricks always end up in blood. This is written and directed by Colin Krawchuk. It stars Michael Sheffield as our Jester, Caitlin Tratham, Jessica Ambule, and many others. Like I said at the top, this will be in theaters for 2 nights only, on September 15th and 16th. You can go check it out in theaters. I think it releases everywhere shortly after. But before we dive in the interview, I'm going to say go check this out. Even if you weren't a big fan of the first one, I really liked the second one. I liked it much more than the first one. It kind of upped the ante a little bit and added a bit more to everything. But I don't want to dive too far into that. I want you to listen to my chat with Colin, and then I will talk with you more about The Jester 2 on the other side. My guest today has been one with the character of the Jester through 3 short films and now 2 feature films. The newest film, The Jester 2, plays in select theaters September 15th and 16th. I want to welcome in Colin Krawchuk. How you doing today, Colin?
Good, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. Tell everybody a little bit about The Jester.
Well, I think you put it very succinctly. We started in 2016. We made a short film called The Jester, and it was, I believe, the 3rd horror short that we had made in as many years. We tried to make a horror short every Halloween. The first 2 horror shorts had these maniac guys that ran around in masks. It was like I don't know. The first one was called Creep, and then the second one was called On My Way. And so come 2016, we wanted to do another horror short, and I was like, I don't want to do another wacky maniac in a mask. Let's do another guy in a mask. I was just like, let's do the opposite. Let's do somebody who's like very poised and in control and 3 steps ahead of you and super cool and loves what he does. and we had a unpurchased mask that we did not see because otherwise we would have bought it. For On My Way, we bought a collection of masks and reused the same two guys over and over again. This Jester mask was just hanging up in a Walgreens for $6, and we were like, yeah, whatever. Let's make a thing out of this thing. And that's the glamorous start to what is now what you described earlier as the Jester.
With the Jester 2, we kind of got a piece of a little bit of his lore before it, but it was still a little mysterious. In the second one, we kind of open it up a little bit more. Did you have it kind of his backstory? I know you and Michael Sheffield, who plays the Jester, have worked on this together. Did you have like his lore kind of mapped out?
Hell no. Absolutely not. Certainly not for the short films.
Okay.
For the feature film, no. And then come time for this one, we're like, okay, we can't keep doing the same thing over and over again. We have to, even if it's just for us, have to know what's going on. And that was always the struggle, was every time, if we even broached the subject in any other earlier iteration, anything that we said just sounded like derivative, It's like, oh, what if he feeds off people's no, it can't be that. What if he is no, that's already been done. So there's like nothing we could ever come up with would be as interesting as what everybody else can come up with in their own imagination. So in this one, I've stumbled upon the legend of Stingy Jack, is actual folklore from history about kind of the origin story of the jack-o'-lantern. It's about a guy who tricks the devil and now is forced to walk the earth for all of eternity with a jack-o'-lantern to light his way. Reading that story, I was like, this like little asshole in this story sounds like our Jester. So I just took that story and kind of changed some things around and applied it to our character. That felt the most appropriate.
As you worked on, this new lore, expanding the story, and I mean, our Jester looks a little different than he did in the first film. How did that planning, when you were like, all right, we're going to do a sequel, how did that planning process come about of working through what's next?
Specifically with the mask, like you described, the look of him is a little different, but also I think more reminiscent of the short films. That was really the biggest intention of the sequel for me, was I wanted to get back to the shorts. The shorts there's something about them that resonated with a lot of people. And I wanted to figure out what that was myself. It's been a while since we've made them, and so it took some going back and kind of deconstructing them and relearning, just looking at them with fresh eyes and teaching ourselves about the Jester again, and wanting to take that tone and that atmosphere into a feature film now. This sequel, I think, is a ton of fun, and I think if you are a fan of the short films, then I hope you enjoy this sequel as well.
I did enjoy the sequel. I thought it really built upon what you had done in the past. Like, I'd seen them before, but I watched all three shorts, the first one before I watched the second one, just to kind of like, all right, I'll get familiar again. Now, what challenges arose for you when we're like, okay, we're at a sequel? Most sequels, people know we got to be bigger and better than we were before.
Well, every single thing was a challenge, from the writing to the production to post. It's every movie, even the worst movie I've ever seen, is a miracle that it even gets finished. It's incredible what actually, like you said, the sequel, it aims to be bigger. It aims to be more ambitious than any previous iteration of the Jester. We actually shot it in less time than the first one. We shot it in 14 days. The first one was shot, principal photography was 14 with 3 additional days later. So this was 14 full stop with a lot more going on in it. And it is incredible what we were all able to pull together. And we came out of this with a much beefier, bigger movie than the first one. But still with the trademark limited resources from low budget productions.
Did you feel more pressure coming into this one compared to previous.
Yeah, I always feel pressure. That's a me problem. I put a lot of pressure on myself. This was all about wanting to. I have my own set of standards, that I set for myself, and very rarely do I meet them. So it's always pressure. It's that being said, I am very proud of the result of this movie. It was ambitious, and I think we came away with something that is what we were all aiming for, which is not always the case, especially with something at this level.
I mentioned before that Michael Sheffield, who plays the Jester, and he's played the Jester and been with the character as well since the beginning. How has not only that relationship with him, but knowing I have a guy who's been there since the beginning playing this character of like, okay, he knows, he's got this down, he knows what to do. And
it's interesting because there was not a lot of, I'll just do your Jester thing in this one, because we did that before. And it results in, the Jester just kind of stands around a lot of the time. And in this one, we wanted to inject a lot more personality. We wanted to inject as much depth as we could into that character, which was not something that we were anticipating or expecting. We wanted to see him behave in a different way. So it did, again, forced us to kind of rethink the character from a different perspective. And rather than just go stand in the shadows and look creepy, it was like, okay, what would be a more interesting thing to do here? How would this guy react when he doesn't feel totally in control? And those are just interesting things that we had never thought about before.
How did that input of you and him working of like, the Jester can't just stand there. He's like, oh, what about this? And you're like, oh, you know what? Let's try it and see if that works.
It was honestly a lot of the best stuff, I feel like, came from, not to say he didn't have his fair share of intentional contributions, but they were accidents where we would be setting up for another shot and he'd be standing off to the side with his hands in his pockets. And then when we'd say, we'd be setting up to block or something, he'd get into the Jester character, and I'm like, actually stand like you were standing before, like just as Mike with your hands in your pockets. Or he's supposed to gracefully get up off of this bench, and when he tries to at first, his like hat slips off and he slips on the ground, and I'm like, oh no, do that do that instead. That's way more interesting than trying to be scary. I don't know, just every time you think we're going to go one way, you try to go the other. And
the Jester's been with you for quite a few years. What do you hope that people get when they go, what audience take away when they get to see the Jester 2?
The intention that I went into the Jester 2 with was I wanted a really fun experience for the audience. I wanted them to feel like it was time well spent, it was money well spent, and I've said before, it would be the biggest honor and the most humbling thing if people enjoyed it so much that they folded it into their annual Halloween watch-through movies. We all have our handful of movies that we have to watch every Halloween, and if the Jester 2 got added to that list for somebody, that would be the best thing that could come out of this for me. I just so want people to have fun with this.
What's next for the Jester? Will we possibly see him again in the future, or don't know yet?
That is the question. Will we see the Jester again? And the thing with this character is, the answer is always, of course you can do anything, with the Jester. That's what makes him exciting, but it's also what makes him, you get paralyzed by choice. There's too many things that you could do. So to me, it's about trying to find box to put him in, similar to this movie, but without negating this movie's box.
As we're kind of wrapping things up, where can people follow along to the journey for the Jester and you to see what you have cooking in the future?
Well, if you want to see what's going on with the Jester, you can follow my Instagrams, just my first and last name. You can follow Dread's Instagram. They're always keeping everybody up to date on what's going on with the Jester. That's where I would be most active in posting whatever other future projects I have the opportunity to work on.
Well, Colin, I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your day to chat with me, and wish you all the best with the Jester 2, and hopefully we'll see some more Jester in the future. We'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, man.
I want to thank Colin again for taking time out of his day to chat with me. It was great to hear kind of a background of the Jester, how the Jester 2 came about. I love hearing the behind-the-scenes stories of these films. It's just something I love. So the Jester 2, I was a fan of the first Jester. I liked the first movie. You know, it didn't blow me away or anything, but it was a solid film that I enjoyed. There are 3 short films, 3 short Jester films that were pretty good. Just kind of gave you little pieces of what the Jester was. The feature film just kind of expanded on what those first 3 shorts gave you. The second one just takes it a little bit further, kind of gives you more of a lore behind the Jester. You heard Colin talk about how they kind of came up with a lore for the Jester based around an actual lore that is out there. It helped a lot because this one, it really stepped things up. The Jester, even in our chat, Colin says, you know, the Jester, telling him the Jester I didn't tell him to do his Jester things because he just stand in the shadows or stuff like that. One, the Jester is a little more animated. Some of the kills, they're a little more elaborate for what he does. He talks in this one. Like, we get some interaction between him and our main character, Max. And then the other thing that I love about this one, not only is the Jester return, the stakes are higher. He feels more of a menace in this one, more of a trickster, more of someone who will kind of fool you, and there's reasonings why he does what he does. The character Max, it's kind of like he met his match. She figures things out and figures out, maybe I can trick the trickster. Whole pieces played into it. So there's a lot more involved in the story of the Jester, in the story of why he does what he does. But then you have this character who, she's kind of an outsider with people around her, trying to find her place. She loves magic. She crosses paths with the Jester, and things kind of go from there. I don't want to dig too much further into that side because I don't want to spoil it for you. I want you to go see it. I do recommend the Jester. Like I said, I enjoyed the first one. I liked this one a lot more. To be honest, this might be one that could end up in a Halloween season type of watch for me. It fits the season. Halloween decor. You have, someone in a mask, and it gave me the fall feels. I have another movie that I'll be talking about next week called Night of the Reaper that does that same thing. It just gives you the fall feels. And for this time of the year, it makes me just want to watch not only movies like this over again, but then, continue on ones that are on my list that I love, Halloween, Dark Harvest, and so many other fall set films that just get me in the spooky season mood, and I love it. Well, that will kind of do my thoughts on The Jester 2. I do suggest definitely go check it out. And even if you didn't like the first one, go watch the second one because there is more to it that I think might fit what you hoped to get from the first one. But if you like the first one, I think that you'll definitely like the second. Now I need to come up with a double feature for you because every movie I do, I like to do a double feature that you can watch with the film. I mean, the obvious is like, just go watch the Jester movies together, but that's just too easy. It can't be something simple like that. I had a tough time kind of narrowing it down to one film. I think you add this to another movie that gives you kind of the fall feels, the Halloween vibe, whatever that might be. But my one pick is another indie horror movie that I think the Jester 2 and it would play well together, and that is Creeping Death that came out last year from Matt Sampier. You can actually go listen to my interview with him. But Creeping Death is another one that gives you that fall feeling, that Halloween vibe, and you have a mysterious creature within it, so it kind of plays with that same theme as the Jester 2. If you don't want Creeping Death, add another Halloween time, fall feels horror movie to it, but my double feature for this week is The Jester 2 and Creeping Death. Well, that will do it for this episode of Tomb of Terrors. Just make sure you subscribe to the show and you will never miss any episode of the show, whether it is these interview episodes, my quick reviews, versus Tales from Tubi, anything that I do over here on the show. Just subscribe and you won't miss it. But thank you to everybody who listens. I want to thank all of my patrons who either support the show, whether you're financially supporting the show or you're just a member on Patreon supporting me. Thank you. I want to thank Gerald from the Awards Garage, Brett from Dissect That Film, my lovely wife Kara, the one and only Chris Yeany, the awesome Nerdrovert Jason. Go check out his reviews. I've seen that. Just go to seenthatreviews.com. And then the other members of the Patreon, thank you to James, Christopher, Amy, Brian, Dustin, and Jason. Appreciate that you follow the show over on Patreon. Just go to patreon.com/oldmanbrad if you want to support the show. But I'll be back soon with a brand new episode. I have more interviews coming, as well as coverage for the upcoming Fantastic Fest and HorrorHound Weekend. Just snuggle up in that blanket, turn off the lights, because it's okay to be scared. We'll talk to you later, everybody.